Hi there, Lee Farnell here from Leading Your Best Life. Thanks for listening. In this program, I'm going to actually confess. I'm going to reveal, looking back, and it's something everyone needs to do, is to be able to reflect on what have I done right and what have I done wrong and what can I learn from it if I'm going to move forward and lead my best life. Stay tuned because this really is going to be a revealing podcast. Well, thanks for coming back. This podcast has come about because I've been going through some old notes and I realised as I've looked back on the hundreds of articles I've written, one of the most powerful ones is this one that I wrote a few years ago now, where I'd seen a Robert Kiyosaki post or podcast, and then it led me to writing this article. It's on LinkedIn. It's called Confessions of a 30-Year Change Agent, Confessions of a 30-Year Consultant. So let's go through it because, as I say here, it's now over 30 years since I entered the profession of consulting and professional speaking, coaching people, facilitating change, business performance transformation, and I think there's some great failures I've had that are powerful lessons for anyone involved in change, management, growing a business, wanting to lead your best life. So it's time for me to come clean, as I say in the article. And it's not that I've been hiding this information, but it's like many of the ideas that have been suggested that, we all need to change course and try something new. But I was listening to a podcast with Rich Dad, Poor Dad author and a long-term mentor and friend of mine, Robert Kiyosaki. He was interviewing the author of the best-selling book, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion it's a guy called Dr. Robert Cialdini from University of Arizona. And Cialdini said, you've got to tell people about your failures as well as your successes. I'd written about it in an article that I had done for my newsletter years ago, where Cialdini said something to the effect of, you've got to not only talk about your successes, but if you're going to build trust with people, you need to be willing to share your mistakes and your failures. As Cialdini recommends it, and Michael Jordan says it here, Jordan's quote, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and I've missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. So if Michael Jordan's willing to admit his failures, then certainly, I need to be willing to do the same thing. So here are my top 5 failures, I think, as a business coach consultant. If you're a business owner, managing director, wanting to make change happen, you need to make sure you cover off on these 5 bases. Failure number 1 was no senior management involvement in the programs that we were doing. Every time a senior manager or a managing director or a chief exec or a sales manager has not been directly involved in the training or the business improvement program, the program has either failed or it's failed to deliver the results that we'd hoped for. Now, that makes sense as soon as you hear it, doesn't it? Because you need the leaders involved. See, because you're asking people to change old patterns, you're asking them to step out of their comfort zones, you're asking them to do different things and get different results. So if the senior manager's not involved, the people and then the other managers start to go, well, why should I be trying? They start to drift back very quickly to where life is comfortable. They drift back to the status quo, to what they know. As John F. Kennedy made this quote famous, and it rings so true when it comes to sales or business growth or business improvement programs, victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. Everyone wants to be around when you've won and had great success, but no one wants to be around when it hasn't worked. So the lesson here for me and for you, if you want to take it, is the chief exec, the sales manager, the managing director must be involved and be seen to be involved in the program workshops. Yes, it takes time, it takes energy, but if you're not involved in the workshops, then you're making a statement by not being there. Your body is making a statement. It's not important. I've got other more important things to do, whatever it is. But by not being involved in the workshops, you're immediately undermining the integrity of the program. See, one of the reasons both IBM and General Electric led the world, and I'm saying led the world in their industries for so many years, was that senior managers, including the chief executive, were actively participating and actively involved and actively led the leadership, the change, the innovation, and the business growth workshops in their companies. They didn't sit back in their offices and leave it to the trainer or the facilitator. They worked alongside, in partnership with, in parallel with the trainer or the facilitator. I know with the work we did with Telstra, we talked about the power of the internal consultant and the external consultant. And certainly one of my great successes, British Standards Institute, the managing director, David Horlock, was in every workshop. He'd be actively involved. He'd pop up, he'd speak, he'd ask questions, he'd challenge people, he'd correct people. He was actively involved. He wasn't down the back on his phone. He wasn't at the front on his phone, not pretending to be there but not be there. He was 100% present, and it paid massive dividends. We had incredible record sales year upon year right across 13 countries as a result of that active leading from the front leadership. When I have failed, my failure has been that I did not sell or enforce that rule that the leader must be involved strongly enough, and therefore in those programs I'd say we failed to deliver the results, and I hate to even admit it, but that's a fact. Leaders, please be involved. Failure number 2 is this: cutting and pasting from the menu. What do you mean, Lee? Well, another key failure was where I allowed or acceded to the CEO cutting and pasting from the business development program menu rather than insisting, no, the program needs all of those components in it to have integrity and strength. It's like taking girders out of a frame of a building and then saying, I want the building to be as strong as it was going to be if I didn't take those girders out. Taking spokes out from a wheel on a bicycle, you weaken the integrity of the bike. The program needs to stay the whole if it was to work. Now, I'd map out an integrated plan for a sales breakthrough with, say, 10 different components, and then maybe the CEO or the managing director would say, look, I like parts 1, 3 and 7, but we don't want to do parts 2, 4, 8 and 9, and maybe get rid of 10 as well. I don't think they're necessary. And where I've failed, I should have pushed back, I should have sold better, I should have stood my ground, because one of us is an expert in change management and innovation and sales growth, and one was not. And I'm saying I'm the expert. You couldn't say to a brain surgeon, for example, look, I'll take the anaesthetic, but I won't take the cut in the head. So why should I have let a CEO or managing director only take parts that they like and let the other parts slide? For example, where the CEO said, look, we don't want to do the perception map diagnostic to find out what the problems are. I already know what the problems are. Just train the staff based on what I tell you. Needless to say, it blew up in my face. The CEO's perception was not that of the perception of the staff. And not only that, it didn't engage them at the front end. So then we'd start the program acting on the CEO's advice, as I say, and all these other hidden problems would come out of the woodwork that threw the whole program off course. So as Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles, which then leads to the next failing, failure number 3. Too many people who sell cannot sell. Another example of choosing from the menu was, no, we don't need to do those silly sales personality profiles on our team. Just train the people that we've got. Big error. We do that and only find that the majority of the team have either low persistence, low resilience, low prospecting motivation, or even low empathy, or even low rapport building skills. So we need to have measured that at the front end. Know the enemy, know yourself, need not fear the result of 100 battles. You see, more than 35 years ago, Harvard Business Review reported the research of Mayer and Greenberg, who concluded, quote, a very high proportion of those engaged in selling cannot sell. If American sales efficiency, Australian sales efficiency, Singaporean sales efficiency, global sales efficiency is to be maximised, and the appalling waste of money and manpower which exists today is to be minimised, a constructive analysis must be made of what selling really is and how its effectiveness can be enhanced. We've got to look further with great detail. We must look a good deal further into the mysteries of personality and psychology if we want real answers. End of quote from Mayer and Greenberg, Harvard Business Review. The 2 essential traits for silk purses or sow's ears in sales. Mayer and Greenberg proved in the insurance industry, the automobile sales industry, and several other industries that unless you are pre-screening and testing for 2 key traits, 1, ego, the desire to compete, make the sale and win, and 2, they often call that conquest, desire for conquest, and 2, empathy, the ability to read the other person and their feelings, you are wasting your time and money with sales training. Ego and empathy. They wrote that the successful salesperson must be like a heat-seeking missile. A heat-seeking missile. Quote, sensing what the customer is feeling, he is able to change pace, double back on his track, and make whatever creative modifications might be necessary to home in on the target and close the sale. In other words, he's got to be able to have empathy, he's got to have sensory acuity, and all these things. So where we haven't tested for this in programs, where I've been way too amiable, Mr. Nice Guy, we've trained non-heat seekers and then failed in hitting our breakthrough targets. Lessons, my friends. Test for heat seekers before you invest in training them. You can't turn a non-heat seeker into a heat seeker. You can't turn a you can't turn a sow's ear into a silk purse. Let's recruit for silk purses and then train and hone the silk purses. Failure number 4, no drills, all talk. Oh yes. This has been a rare failing, but sometimes it's happened because I'm so into the importance of the body being involved. But where the workshop or the training or the intervention has ended up too much chalk and talk or opinioneering and not enough drills increasing skills, that's where things have gone wrong. The skilled workshop attendee can throw red herrings and hot topics up just long enough to ensure they clog the training event and minimise the amount of time for drills and role play, knowing that a drill or role play, their lack of skill and effectiveness will be highlighted. And again, people do this consciously and unconsciously. And this is a real trap for young and old players. You've got to involve the body. Why you must involve the body? If you are serious about skills improvement, you absolutely must involve the body. Drills increase skills. Old behaviour patterns can only be changed by doingness, not talkingness. Just as a football player or a tennis player can't just talk about how to kick or how to serve the ball, you too, in sales and management, can't just talk about how to do it. You must also practice it. Practice, reps, do the reps. Practice, make mistakes, measure, correct, get feedback, do it again. It's called the feedback cycle. We call it deliberate practice. Deliberate practice has been 40 years of research now done on the power and value of deliberate practice. Whether you're talking learning the violin, whether you're talking about guitar, whether you're talking about chess, whether you're talking about singing, whether you're talking about any skill, including sales, including David Beckham, including Ronaldo kicking fantastic balls into the high corner and penalty passes, you must deliberately and specifically aim to improve these key parts of the sales cycle or the whole process. Now, here are some of the areas I believe you really must be drilling, not only practicing, teaching, but drilling. 1, how to develop rapport and connect with people. 2, how to do prospecting phone calls. 3, how to handle specific objections, like we've got an existing supplier or it seems very expensive. You certainly have to be drilling how to ask what we call strategic questioning, need discovery questioning. So much research has gone into the fact that many salespeople do not know how to ask strategic questions and go deep enough in truly understanding needs, let alone then developing value so that you sell on value, not on price, which is another key skill. You need to know how to negotiate. What's highballing, lowballing, holding your position, doing mini trade downs, all of these things, negotiating on terms, not just price. how to get commitment to close the sale. There's 5 or 6, in fact, we've got a list of 12 key areas, and these things need to be practiced deliberately on a regular basis. I say ideally on a daily basis, particularly for new people or people who are not hitting target. So if you're not actively practicing these key components of the sale on a daily basis, you can be guaranteed you're losing sales and missing out on revenue and profit. Top sales producers and top sales teams practice on a daily basis. So where I've been sideswiped and railroaded or remiss in getting the bodies involved earlier, I admit again, I have failed. So the lesson: get the bodies involved early in practicing key aspects of the sales process, both in formal sales training workshops and on a daily basis in the office and in the field, whether it be in the daily huddles or daily training sessions or daily warm-up sessions or daily, we often do mock sessions, things I can teach you. But like any professional athlete, make it part of your daily sales routines. We say, how do you become extraordinary at anything? You do the extra. You do the extra practice. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Ronaldo, David Beckham. Think of any superstar and you look not too far below the surface and find that their training routine is different because they do the extra and have done the extra over the years. Failure number 5, no sales coaching. No sales coaching. The fact is, senior managers and sales managers must be sales coaches. I'll say it again. The fact is, the senior managers and the sales managers must be sales coaches. They need additional and separate training on how to be sales coaches because you're setting the sales ecosystem. You're leaders in the sales culture. If you don't know how to do that consciously, you'll be stuffing it up unconsciously. So where I've let this be cut out of the program, again, I've failed to optimise team performance. Where the MD or the chief exec has convinced me that his or her sales managers were already good sales coaches, I should have verified that using my own diagnostic processes. I should have asked the staff or the team members first. I should have asked the sales managers, did they think they were good sales coaches? I should have cross-verified the answers. I should have also asked, are you coachable? Are you coachable? Because if they're not coachable, we're all wasting our time. The other important point here is it's the work between the workshops that makes the difference. Yes, the work between the workshop makes the difference. What the sales managers do in between the sales training workshops makes all the difference. If they fail to take on the role of leader coach, the program will be neutered. It will be ineffective. Most sales managers have been trained by other sales managers with little or no coaching in how to be a coach. They've learned to be a boss. They might have even learned to be a bully. Most have been trained in the school of hard knocks or the school of old school sink or swim. There's the phone. There's the database. Make the calls. You don't make your target. Clearly you're a loser. Next. No. If you want high staff turnover and substandard, fear-driven performance, well, keep that up, School of Hard Knocks, old school sink or swim, no problems. But if you want high performance, take a leaf out of the book of one of Australia's and the world's most successful sports coaches, Dr. Rick Charlesworth, when he says, quote, "The important work occurs in preparation and training, then in providing support and feedback once in the contest. Your employees need to be prepared and supplied with the right resources and then support and feedback on a continuous basis in order to perform. Continuous basis, Kaizen, continuous and never-ending improvement. I've failed where I haven't spent enough time coaching the coaches." So what's the lesson here? Make sure in any business improvement program you allocate time and resources to training the on-the-job coaches. And this is one of the reasons the Six Sigma business improvement program for manufacturing has worked so well, because they've structured in green belt, black belt coaching of the coaches, on-the-job coaches training. Now, I outlined this in our Secrets of Successful Sales Management program and the other program we have, the Sales Management Lifesaver seminar. But again, where I have acceded to client requests, Mr. Nice Guy, and allowed that to be cut from the program, we've missed the mark. We haven't optimized performance and potential. So sure, yes, we've improved sales and performance, but not to the level that I know and even the client also knows would have been possible. I hate that. So now that I've shared this with you, if I were a Catholic priest, I'd go and say, go say 30 Hail Marys, Lee. Or maybe, I don't know, if I'm Buddhist, what do? Have compassion and kindness for myself. But I'm not a Catholic. I'm probably more Buddhist than Catholic. But all I can do is take 100% responsibility for these failures, learn from them, yes, have some compassion and kindness to myself, share them with you, which is more important, so that you don't make the same mistakes, and you can then get on, and I can get on with the rest of my life of helping clients who are serious about creating sales breakthroughs and optimizing the potential of their team's business. Now, if you're one of those businesses, if you want a sales breakthrough, you've got a company of 20 or more people, if you are serious as a leader, chief exec, MD, to grow the business and empower your people and really optimize the potential of your business, then do touch base, leefarnell.com, set a time. There'll be a link in this podcast where you can set a time for a 15-minute chat, and let's go from there. Because if you're one of those businesses, give me a call or go online at leefarnell.com. We can give you a diagnostic tool. We can even, in fact, for some people, if you qualify, we'll give you $5,000 worth of business growth consulting for free. It's a grant. You need to apply for it to see are you the right people for it. But if you want the $5,000 grant and an application form, touch base with me and we'll do it. But I'm glad you've listened to this so far. Having shared all that, I think I feel better now. I hope you do too. And I know, in fact, one of my clients, Dave Horlock, the managing director of BSI Asia at the time, had read this article on LinkedIn, and off the back of that said, Lee, they're all the mistakes we don't want to be making at BSI. Come, let's talk. And really off the back of that, we went on and created 3 or 4 years of fantastic sales records right across Asia. And in fact, he literally said to me the other day at dinner here in Perth, Lee, people are still talking about this program you did, 2017, 18, through to 2019. And 4 and 5 years later, they're saying that was the best thing that ever happened in my career. It made a magnificent difference. The company should have kept going with it, but chose not to. They wanted to save some money or whatever. And the numbers are whatever the numbers are. It needs to be continuous and never-ending improvement. I mean, if I can say, you give me $1 and I'll give you $10 back, wouldn't you just keep doing it? No. We can do it for 50 cents and see if it works the same way. Oh, no. That's another mistake. Touch base. It's Lee Farnell. As we say, let's help you lead your best life. And when we're talking Lee Farnell Best Business, we say, let's put wings on your business. Wings on your business, wings on your sales, wings on the enjoyment of being in business. Hope this helps. Breathe, Lee, you've just confessed. Thanks for listening. See you next episode. Share this with friends if you want to. Bye.